You know, when I made my video about the steaming pile of shit, the drippings of emo and 2000s alt-rock TX2, I didn't really expect the reception of that video to be so astronomically putrid. With that being said, I was perfectly happy living the rest of my life never having to pay any mind or put my vision towards the fucking stain of a musician that TX2 is. Somehow, to my fucking chagrin, he has gotten even worse and done even more stupid things in his discography. With that being said, I want to preface this video by saying one thing that a lot of people just did not get the memo on my original video, and that is this is in no way me dissing him as just a person, as an entity. This is all just musician shit. I can't comment on him as a person. I don't know the dude, and I'm not going to make accusations of his character. With that being said, I am also not going to deny anyone that has resonated or gotten something out of his music. I have covered many very harmful and controversial, polarizing things on this channel from people that I am diametrically opposed to or that go against my beliefs in every sense of the word, but I in no way take away the fact that people get something out of it or that they enjoy that artist or that it's gotten them through a rough time. If you personally have been affected by TX2 and you have gotten through bad times, or he's helped you with your own mental health, or just he's given you a voice or a platform or a reason to feel understood or heard, more power to you, and I wish you nothing but the best. My opinion is not the gospel, and I merely just want to make people think a little bit more about the things they enjoy. With that being said, can we please talk about Black Wedding and Burn? Oh my god, I am on like YouTube Shorts and TikTok a lot, and I am so fucking sick of hearing Black Wedding. And I'm not going to reiterate a lot of my points from my first video because you guys can go watch that if you want, but his like commercial viability in the way that he approaches marketing is so obvious and so on the nose, it's insane. Bro will post like the same skit for the same song like 50, 60 times with barely any differences, and it's hilarious. I am so sick of hearing Black Wedding. I also just think that the premise of the song is just so stupid and the most bare minimum approach to the topic that you're doing. You had such a creative topic in front of you because the song basically is about like this closeted gay man that gets with a woman and he doesn't admit that he's gay, and then when they get married they're like strangers, and like she's like, you never loved me, and he's like, for once we agree on this, and maybe the cat got let out the bag, we miss the lives that we had but we're married, and he just has this like fucking fish lens camera on him and he's like prancing around the streets. It's so fucking funny. And it doesn't help that he has this new thing he does. He has this new scheme. He's like, is this the hardest rock song of 2023? Is this the hardest metal song of 2024? And it's so hilarious because he literally is like the scrapings, like the fucking churned bottom of the barrel of like these old school emo and alt-rock bands. They would curb stomp you in terms of this. And he makes all of these poking jabs at how people call him like a poser and stuff like that. I'm not necessarily saying he's a poser. I have no doubt that he grew up with these bands and that he looked up to these bands. But for him to act like he is the sole person reviving this medium and breathing life back into it is actually comical. It cannot be more poetically funny, considering that predating him for about a decade now, there have been so many resurgences not only of emo and alternative metal and rock, but new metal and 2000s alt-rock as well as 90s grunge. There's always these genres that are being brought back, and no genre is ever fully dead, especially when you have some pretty large artists that are playing around with it, whether you're talking about Machine Gun Kelly, which don't like Machine Gun Kelly, or Youngblood, or all of these bands that are incorporating these 2000 vibes into their music, or My Chemical Romance coming back. You are not some sort of torchbearer, like the voice of a genre, when there are so many other people that did it before you, and you can say that you're, you know, wanting to bring it back into the mainstream or whatever, that's perfectly fine, but to say you are the hardest rock or metal song of like 2024, it's laughable. I'm sorry. Especially Burn. Holy fuck, this is a dumpster fire of a track. What are these speaking bits? What are these like poking fun like things? Like, he tackles religion and Christianity and LGBT stuff in the most brutally upfront way, but it's not in like the, oh, he's blunt and he's transparent, look at him going at this thing. Like, I literally hate both sides of what he's talking about, about, like, it's so on the nose. That is the only way I can describe it. I understand he's doing that to get a reaction, but he's plastering everywhere that this is the hardest of 2024. No, it sounds like if you took the fucking, like, worst choruses that are, like, arena stadium rock sized from, like, Octane radio station and combined it with, like, a Fall Out Boy and early Panic at the Disco, you know, copycat band playing at, like, a small nightclub at, like, fucking 10 p.m. on a Wednesday, combined with overly produced stuff, gratuitous vocals, these weird, like, impromptu spoken word things that are trying to be so edgy you could cut yourself with the edge. I also don't want people to sit here and say that, like, I don't know what I'm talking about in terms of the era. I'm 23 years old. I grew up at the peak of emo and alt-rock and alt-metal and new metal and shit like that. I was there when fucking Dan and Phil was massive and Anthony Padilla and Ian Hecox were like the biggest YouTubers, or when fringe black haircuts were, you know, swept to the side and people were simping over Joey Graceffa and Zoella, and fucking Jenna Marbles was the biggest YouTuber, and Fall Out Boy, My Chemical Romance, Paramore, and fucking Panic at the Disco were gigantic, and Hawthorne Heights, Sleeping with Sirens, and Pierce the Veil were making people cut in their closets. Trust me, honey, I know the fuck what I'm talking about. And to me, it's not that it's, like, offensive. I'm not offended by the way that he approaches songwriting. I'm offended that it's inoffensive. Like, if he was just making commercially viable, like, dumbed down, like, watered down alternative rock and emo and stuff, I would be perfectly fine with that, and I could just be like, you know, he has his fan base, go ahead, do to each their own. But it's the fact that he portrays himself as this pariah of the community that is constantly made fun of for pretty good reason musically. I don't support or condone going after him as, like, a fucking person, but or saying that, like, he weaponizes mental health, because I don't even necessarily think he weaponizes mental health. I just think he approaches it and executes it in the most delirious way absolutely possible. It's the fact he is portraying himself as this brand spanking new artist that is making revolutionary music that is ingenious and so creative, when he literally took the most basic influences from every band and movement that he is borrowing from and wrapped it up in something that just bleeds Gen Z and bleeds TikTok and bleeds YouTube Shorts, and then used the mediums of YouTube Shorts and TikToks to blow himself up further with the algorithm by churning out dozens of the videos of the same song and trying to appeal to a specific demographic that he not only reached, but is just force-feeding this music over and over and over to people that don't really know much about the movements that he is borrowing from, and thinks that he is the best of the best because he has this younger generation latching onto him when they don't even realize where what they're listening to is coming from. Poising himself as this sole contributor to the re-rise of metal and rock and emo, and poising himself as this figurehead and this messiah that is supposed to be the savior of all of these people. And the fact that he kind of just perpetuates a lot of the stereotypes that emo and alternative rock have had attached to them, both in terms of, like, his appearance and the way that he describes appearance, the way that he describes a lot of his music, the way that he songwrites, I think just inadvertently is pretty damaging to the credibility and reputation of these communities as is, because he not only just makes their points even more crystal clear, but he just lives up to every false stereotype and every weird fucking opinion that people have towards it, and just lives off of it and sort of feeds off of that negativity. And he's willing to do whatever it takes to get more clicks, and it's working. You gotta give it to him. What are your guys' opinions of TX2? You can let me know down in the comment section below. I can't wait to hear it. Be sure to like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to join the review family today, and smash that notification bell to be notified of my future uploads. You know who it is, my name is Jay Morris, and I'm signing off saying farewell.